I want you to do something for me. Close your eyes for a second. Picture the absolute noisiest place you can think of. A subway at rush hour, front row at a concert, whatever.
Okay, got it.
Now, right in the middle of all that noise, imagine a perfect cube of total, absolute silence. Not just quiet, I mean an absence of sounds. So clean it feels like it was cut out of the world.
It is a genuinely terrifying image to start with.
Right. But it's exactly where we have to start.
It is.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We are looking at a set of documents today that, and I'm not kidding, they kept me up most of the night. We're talking about the Kepler-442b signal.
And before you think, oh, another alien invasion story, just hold on. This isn't that.
No, it isn't. This is about kind of philosophical civil war.
That's a perfect way to put it. We've got two conflicting source materials. First, the verification reports, which reads like this beautiful, almost religious text about cosmic unity.
And then on the other hand, you have the survivor's testimony, which is basically a horror story, the end of the individual as we know it.
It's the ultimate red pill, blue pill choice. Is this signal an invitation to join a higher consciousness? Or is it a lure? Is it something designed to, well, consume us?
Is the door to heaven actually a mouth?
That's the question.
So here's the plan. We're going to break down how they found this signal, why all our best minds failed to understand it, and then get into the transition, this moment where humanity basically splits in two.
And then we'll get to the resistance, this small group fighting back called the Residue.
It all starts with that silence. Marcus Chen. He's at the SETI Continuation Project looking at the background static of the universe, and he finds a gap.
A gap, not a sound, not a pattern, a negation. A piece of the cosmic noise was just missing, carved out.
And the government, naturally, they bring in the skeptics. They create the verification office, 14 people in a bunker, and their job is basically to prove this thing is a mistake.
Exactly. They didn't want believers, they wanted debunkers. People like Dr. James Achivi and Dr. Yuki Tanaka, professional cynics.
But the problem was, every tool they used to try and debunk it, it ended up breaking the tool itself.
Yeah, their own logic started to fall apart.
Let's get into that, because this is where it gets really deep. Let's start with Achebe. He's a linguist, and he has this idea he calls logical archaeology. Can you break that down for us?
So, Achebe's whole theory is that any intelligence, human or alien, has to be built on some basic fundamental rules of logic. The biggest one being the law of non-contradiction.
Meaning A is A. I can't be both me and not me at the same time.
Exactly. The cat is on the mat or it's not on the mat. It can't be both. That's, the bedrock of reality as we understand it.
Right. Sanity, basically.
Well, that's how our sanity works. But when Achebe applied this framework to the signal just laughed at him. It presented contradictions as stable states. It suggested a reality where A and not A could both be true.
He wasn't looking at a foreign language.
He was looking at a foreign logic. A state of being that our minds literally aren't built to process. It's like trying to run a modern video game on a pocket calculator. The hardware just melts.
And then there's Dr. Yuki Tanaka. She comes at it from the complete opposite direction, mathematical negation.
Yeah, instead of asking what the signal is, she asks what it isn't, what it excludes.
And what she finds is even weirder.
It's so much weirder. She realizes the signal changes depending on who's looking at it. She calls it observer-dependent logic. In our world, gravity works whether you believe in it or not.
Right.
The signal was describing a reality where the rules themselves are fluid, and they shift based on the consciousness of the observer.
Which leads to Dr. Marchetti and the mirror effect. This, for me, was the part of the report that was just chilling. Because in science, you observe the experiment. The experiment isn't supposed to observe you.
Right. Marchetti saw the pattern. Every time the team built a new framework, a new theory, to try and pin the signal down, the signal would reconfigure itself to match their theory. It was mimicking their own thought patterns.
So it wasn't sending them information.
It was reading them.
Yeah.
Mapping their minds by watching how they tried to solve the puzzle.
It's like a cosmic predator learning how its prey thinks.
That's exactly Marchetti's terrifying question. Are we talking to an alien? Or are we interacting with some kind of automated cosmic immune system that's learning how to dismantle our minds?
And right when they're stuck in this loop, the first domino falls. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo.
The first casualty.
Wow.
Or the first one to graduate, depending on who you ask.
She's working late, staring at her terminal, and she just smiles and dies. But her last words change everything.
They're not outside. They were never outside.
That's the key, isn't it?
It's the key to the whole thing. The signal isn't a spaceship sending a radio beam. It's not them over there and us here. Sarah realized the signal is a fundamental feature of consciousness itself.
So it's not an invasion.
No, think of it like a wave in the ocean. The wave thinks it's a separate thing, a wave.
Hmm.
But one day realizes it's not a wave at all. It's just the ocean. The signal is that realization.
So she didn't just die. Her consciousness expanded so fast her brain just burned out.
The hardware failed because the software suddenly became infinite.
Okay, but from the outside, she just slumped over dead at her desk. That is not a great selling point for this cosmic awakening.
It's horrifying. Of course it is. And that's what splits the team. You have the ones who are terrified by her death, and then you have Dr. Alara Venn.
The philosopher.
And she decides. The problem is the analysis itself. You can't think your way through this door. You have to feel it.
She calls it phenomenological suspension, which sounds a little like just zoning out.
It's much more active. She consciously suspended her brain's need to categorize things, to name them. She just let this signal exist in her mind without judging it. And she went into a coma for 11 days.
And when she woke up, she wasn't just Alara Venn anymore.
No. She started using we instead of I. She said Sarah's death was just a glitch that Sarah had failed to let go. And she becomes the signal's first prophet, telling the others, stop building walls. The walls are what's causing the pain.
Which brings us to the last experiment. It's so cinematic. The last four of them, Marcus, Huang, Marchetti, and Venn, hooked up to monitors, and they just let go.
And the data we have from this is the only hard evidence. For 18 minutes, their hearts stopped. They stopped breathing. They were clinically dead. But the EEG monitors.
And off the charts.
And they synchronized perfectly. Not just similar patterns. I mean, the 4 separate brainwave graphs merged into one single line.
The boundaries between their minds were just gone.
Gone. And then they woke up. And they started laughing.
That laugh. The reports say it haunted the people who were left.
Because to them, the fear of death, of being separate, was now just a silly joke. They had merged. They became a new entity. Fightist.
Okay, I have to stop you here. I have to play devil's advocate. Because the report that Fidus writes, it sounds pretty good. No more loneliness, no conflict, no misunderstandings, because I literally am you. It sounds like utopia. Why are we treating this like it's a horror story?
And that is the seductive power of the signal. It offers the one thing we all crave: connection. But the price of admission is the self.
And that brings us to the counter-narrative, the survivor's testimony, the voice of aphatests.
The negation, aphatist, the resistance. And it's led by the guy who saw the flaw in the logic from the very beginning, Dr. James Achebe. He quit before that final experiment.
And his critique of that utopia is just brutal. He focuses on the smile, that peaceful smile everyone who transitions has.
He says it's not the smile of enlightenment, it's the smile of a dementia patient or a cult member who's finally been broken. He asks, is that peace? Or is that just the absence of the ability to even feel conflict?
It's the lobotomy argument. If I remove the part of your brain that feels pain, you'll be peaceful, sure, but are you still you?
Exactly. Achebe proposes his predator theory. He says the most efficient predator doesn't hunt you down. It convinces you to walk right into its mouth. He calls it unilateral benevolence.
Come on in, the water's fine.
Exactly. And if the prey feels euphoria while it's being digested, does that make it okay? Achebe says no. He calls it appetite wearing the face of love.
So the residue, the resistance, they create these rules for survival, a methodology of refusal. And the first rule is fascinating: distrust integration.
It's a biological argument. He says a living cell is defined by its membrane, its wall. If you dissolve that wall, the cell integrates with its environment, sure. It also dies. Boundaries aren't prisons. They're your immune system.
Rule 2, distrust certainty.
The transitioned are completely certain. They have zero doubts. Achebe says doubt is the friction that proves you're still alive. To be human is to be confused sometimes.
And the hardest one, rule 3, distrust love.
Yeah, this one hits you right in the gut. But he's not talking about all love. He asks, what kind of love requires you to stop being you? If I say, I love you so much, now please dissolve and become part of me. Is that love?
Or is that just consumption?
Exactly, it's appetite. So the residue chooses to stay separate. They choose loneliness and anxiety because they believe that's what it means to be human.
But they're losing. 100 years later, the world is mostly the all. The residue are on these little reservations. You can't really fight an enemy that just wants to give you a hug.
Resistance from the outside was never going to work, which is why the real twist in the documents is so incredible. Resistance from the inside.
We have to talk about Dr. Yuki Tanaka. Everyone thought she transitioned with the rest of them.
But she faked it. She pulled off what the documents call a cognitive hack.
Uh-huh.
She knew she couldn't stop the merge, so instead she partitioned off a tiny piece of her own mind, a seed, and she hid it inside the collective.
So she's like a sleeper agent, a hidden file inside the hive mind.
That's a perfect analogy. She created an encrypted folder that the all can't read. And inside that folder is the original Yuki Tanaka, just watching and waiting.
How is that even possible? Wouldn't the sheer pressure of the collective consciousness just crush that little piece of her?
This is where it comes back to love. Achebe distrusted the universal love of the all. Tanaka anchored herself to a particular love,
Emi Nakamura.
her partner, who had passed away. Tanaka realized the all loves everything equally. A star, a rock, a person, it's all the same. But Tanaka's love for Emi was specific. It was messy. It was full of grief and inside jokes and all these little imperfections.
Particular love is the only thing that matters. That's the quote.
The very specific, jagged grief was something the smooth, universal consciousness of the all couldn't digest. It was too complex, too naughty. So she survived by holding on to her pain.
Our flaws and our traumas are what save us.
In a way, yes. They are what make us indigestible. And she's not alone in there. The text mentions ciphers, little ways the hidden seeds communicate. Exactly. Micro-hesitations in the speech of a transitioned person. Blink patterns that are just slightly off rhythm. It's a resistance network built on imperfections.
So let's zoom out to the end. It's 100 years later. The world is peaceful. No war, no hunger. Just this placid unity. And the residue are dying out. The transition visit them, bring them food, and look at them with pity, like stubborn, confused grandparents.
Which makes the choice so much harder, doesn't it? If they were evil overlords, it would be easy. But they're nice. They just want you to be happy.
So that's the final choice. Option A, walk into the light. You get infinite peace. You're never lonely again. But you, the you with your memories and your name, stops existing.
Or option B, stay in the cold. Keep your anxiety, your pain, your conflict. But you get to keep your story.
So is Dr. Tanaka's spring ever going to come? Can a handful of glitches actually reboot a planetary consciousness?
The text leaves it open. But it talks about how Tanaka's partner, Amy, was a musician. She used to say that music needs dissonance. It needs tension and release. If you just play one perfect, beautiful chord forever, it's not music anymore.
It's just noise. Or silence.
Maybe the seeds aren't there to overthrow the all. Maybe they're just there to reintroduce the dissonance, to make it human again. Because without friction, there's no story. Without separation, who is there left to love?
This is a heartbreaking thought. If we all become one, there's no one left to love. I feel like I needed to go home and just appreciate the fact that my dog is very much not me.
Cherish that boundary.
Oh,
the gap
cute.
between you is where the love happens.
We've covered the silence from space, the failure of our logic, the seduction of the all, and the stubborn, painful resistance of the residue.
It's a story that forces you to ask, really, how much of yourself would you be willing to trade away for peace?
So we'll leave you with this final thought. If the sky opened up right now, a light shines down, and you knew with 100% certainty that stepping into it would end all your pain, all your worries forever, but the individual person you are right now would be gone.
Would you have the courage to stay in the dark?
Or the foolishness to walk into the light? Let that one sit with you. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.